All right. So, what if I told you that you were never actually stuck? That the thing you've been calling a block, the reason the money isn't moving, the reason the business feels frozen, even after all the healing, all the coaches, all the work, isn't a block at all. It's actually a conditioning. And the beautiful thing about that is that since we know it's a conditioning, it can be undone. So, what I'm going to share with you is by the end of this, you're going to see that you have every opportunity to move in your life and in your revenue. So, you don't have to wait for a special moment. You could do this today. And if you're just meeting me, I'm Tahira. I mentor spiritually mature women, CEOs, founders, leaders who are already building. You're not a beginner. You have done the inner work. You have invested into yourself. And that's why feeling stuck feels so confusing. You did everything right and the numbers still went quiet. The math is not mathing, and you're wondering what is wrong. And here's the thing, nothing is wrong with you. It is just about a mindset. So when I started my entrepreneurial journey years ago, I lived in Florida and I was doing my part-time, we'll call it a healer's business, in my home, in my apartment, where I did a lot of spiritual counseling. I facilitated circles, workshops, you name it. I was doing it in my home. I was generating around $5,000 a month, which that was pretty good on top of the part-time income that I was still receiving from my job that I was a clinical therapist in. And as I was going through that process, the vision of me leaving the United States was just getting louder and louder because I always envisioned myself not living in the United States. It's something that always was with me. And so I began to really see how that would play out. And when I started to get firm as to, yes, I'm leaving the United States, psychologically, these the thought forms, as I call them, started to come up in my mind. So what are those thought forms? Those thought forms were, well, how are you going to survive? Are you going to be making money? How are you going to be making money? You don't know anybody in these certain countries that you want to go to. And so all of these thought forms started to arrive as I was making that decision simultaneously. However, I am that type of person that just always tell my clients, just do it, because I know with that action that things are going to start shifting. So I got rid of my apartment, I quit my job, and I began the journey. And it was a real journey of will. And so through that journey, what I was experiencing was those thought forms literally trying to stop me from making uh, the next shift in my life that I knew deep in my soul that I was ready for. However, the money was dwindling. I was going from Airbnb to another Airbnb, sometimes sleeping on my friends' couches. And that lifestyle, my mind was like, what are you doing? Like, you have two master's degrees, like, you are intelligent, all of these things. And what I really had to do was get still and realize, okay, everything is energy. So why do I feel so stuck? And what came to me was because I was allowing those thought forms to command my life instead of choosing, like really choosing inside myself that I can, and it's already done. And I'm going to explain the law of thermodynamics in a minute, because what I'm referring to is a law. And if you're somebody like me, I am all about the law of the universe because the laws of the universe make everything more simple. And you realize that you do not have to be where you are. There is no such thing as limits when you start understanding these laws. And so as I began to sit with that truth, I realized also my nervous system was responding because my nervous system got used to the life that I created. It was comfortable. We had a nice apartment, nice car. So my nervous system was also speaking. And so when your nervous system becomes dysregulated or out of alignment of your sovereign self, the one that decided to make that decision, the nervous system is also connected to the mind. So that is how you start to experience anxiety and fear and confusion, knowing behind all that noise that what you have decided for yourself is the truth. And so the more I really began to study myself, the more I started shifting my mindset to listen to, if you want to call it the divine self, the supreme self, the sovereign self, people say God, but there is something in us that is so much more clearer than the noise. And the more you just get still, the more you can really hear it and see it. So when I started to become more still, I noticed that my movements became more active in a way where now I was moving toward making it happen versus feeling sorry for myself. And so I began to create containers and offerings that will get me to the point of getting me wherever I was going, my next destination. At the time, I didn't know it was going to be Dominican Republic, but turned out to be Dominican Republic. And from that, my life has changed significantly. And so when you start to really understand that there is no such thing as being stuck, you are taking your power back. And the next step from that is to take the action. So the law is what is called the law of thermodynamics, the law of conservation of energy. And I'm sure you all have heard this before. It says that that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. And so sit with that for a minute. When you're thinking about rebuilding, rebranding, generating more income, know that it's all about directing the energy towards that desire. So your energy is never actually stuck because there's no such thing. By law, it is always moving and always transforming. So when you feel stuck, that energy hasn't stopped. What happens is those thought forms that are feeding your mind is making you feel like you're stuck. And I hope that you are following me on this. So those thought forms of fear, questioning, overthinking, all of that is generated by not directing the energy towards the desire, towards the goal. And so what happens is when you're not directing the energy by law, it goes straight into disorder. And so either you're getting better or you're getting worse. There is no such thing as staying stagnant. So when you start understanding this, you start to take your power back because everything follows attention. So when it comes to your business and money, it is all energy. When you feel stuck at a revenue ceiling, when you can't seem to raise your price, launch the offer, or be more visible, that is not a wall. That is the thought forms that are creating the mindset that you're stuck. And your nervous system is doing exactly the same thing because it's attached to the familiar. So anytime when you're taking yourself out of the familiar, your nervous system has to go with you. All of your energetic bodies that I like to talk about when I'm doing mentorship, all has to line up. And that takes reps, repetition of action, of being a quick decision maker. Because the more you sit with, well, I don't know if I should do it, or yeah, I have this all planned out, but I haven't taken a step, you're not directing the energy. So that energy is going straight into disorder. And this is where people start getting lazy or becoming so fearful that they don't even show up. They don't even raise their prices. And they continue to stay in this loop constantly. So energy follows intention and intention follows language. So the moment you say, I'm stuck, you instruct your whole system, your whole entire system to go find that evidence. And it will, because you're creating your reality at all times. And so your reality is only going to reflect that back. So it's going to reflect it in your reality, in your body, and in your bank account, and in how you show up in your business. So the loop has to close. And what I like to share with you all is that when you understand that and you come into that acceptance of the law, now you have the information to change. And this is also another aspect of this. Every result lives on a delay. So there is always a gap between the move you make and the money you see from it. Most women call themselves stuck inside the gap. And I have had many conversations about this. The window where it's all compounding underneath, but hasn't surfaced yet. And because they call it stuck, they abandon the very offer, the very price, the path that's actually going to free them. So I was working with a private client and we created her powerful, fabulous ecosystem. Her ecosystem is not, it is beautiful. It is precise, it is strategic. And she could see that she naturally created $1 million ecosystem if she just sticks to the plan. And I have done this too. So I'm not blaming or shaming anybody because I have done this too. And we created it, we looked over it, had the plan, boom, it's done. The next week, she texted me and she said, what do you think? And I looked up the text. It's a whole new offering, a whole new offering that is not within the ecosystem. And I'm like, why? Why did you feel like you needed to create a new offer? Well, because, I did some posting, I send out some emails, but nothing's moving. I said, yes, it's compounding. That's how you build wealth. You build wealth by compounding. So there's something called patience that you have to have if you want to build real wealth. But to put another offering in there, it's only going to take you off track because you don't need another offering. You have all these other beautiful services to share that have great value. And so we do this a lot, especially as people who want to serve and they see a pain in their community. We have everything set up, and as soon as we see something else, like, oh, well, I can do that too. You haven't even started the plan on your first ecosystem, let alone bring in another offering. So it is about trusting in what you're doing, trusting that whatever you decide to do, you're directing your energy to get the results. You're going to get the results. Why? Because it's stated in the law of thermodynamics. It's a law of the universe. And there's no arguing with that. It's about trusting. And we've been so enslaved in the conditioning of wanting things so urgently that when we slow down, we don't know what to do with ourselves. And real wealth is built on repetition, rinse, and repeat. And guess what? It is boring. It is extremely boring at some points. However, that is how you start to build your muscle to hold more, to receive more, is through getting stronger. So it is about not only retraining your mindset, it is about retraining your whole entire system. So I'm going to give to you 3 moves you can start today. The first one is to see the pattern and name it. The next time the money feels frozen or the decision feels impossible, don't call it stuck. Take that out of your vocabulary. Call it what it is. You can say something like, this is my nervous system attached to the familiar. And that one sentence can take you from the wall that you may feel, and now you can see it for what it is. And you stop describing yourself as trapped and start describing yourself as a woman in transition, just like exactly what I did to get here. I had to move through. I'm not these thought forms. My nervous system is adjusting, and I'm just transitioning. That's it. So it stops feeling so overwhelming. Number two, name the real bottleneck. Ask one question. Is this a decision I'm avoiding, data I'm missing, or a lag I'm mislabeling? In business, it's almost always the first one. The price you won't raise, the offer you won't launch, the visibility you keep dodging. Write down which one. And remember, know the word stuck out of the vocabulary. And just say it plainly for what it is. I'm avoiding raising my price. You say it like that, then you act on it within the next hour. Act on it immediately. Raise the price. Make that decision. Make that call. Because when you do not, you're wasting more time. And a beautiful thing about making more money is that you're actually buying back time to enjoy your life, to enjoy your friends, your family, to do the things that you desire. So no more wasting time. You act now. And number three, make the move. Now, this one is very important. Make the move while you're still afraid. And this is the one that changes your revenue. This changes the game. You're going to still experience anxiety. You're still going to experience fear. But now you see those as tools along the journey, not to move, but to actually encourage the movement. Because anytime that energy comes in, you realize it's because you are upgrading your life. You're upgrading your decisions. You're going into the next chapter. So, learning to move with those energies helps you to get stronger. Because staying still does have a cost. And it's higher than the fear. Not moving doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you shrinking. It keeps you remaining in the excuses of your mind. It keeps you in a pattern of not living the life that you know you envision for yourself. And that is the trade-off when you don't make the move. So you have to take that radical action you already know you need to make. And you send the email, you raise the rate, you open the cart, you book the flight, whatever it is that you are desiring to do, realize decisions with desires equal results. So again, you were never stuck. You were conditioned. We all were conditioned at some point, attached to the familiar, attached to programming. And now you know the answer. Now you know what to do because it can be undone. And this is how you live freely in a world that wants to constantly chain you psychologically. This is how you start to move with the resistance instead of letting it overwhelm you. You have the power and capability of doing that. And it's just about applying the action. So go see the pattern, name the bottleneck, make the move while you're still afraid, and watch how fast the thing you thought was frozen, your life, your money, if you are wanting to move, you're wanting to book the trip, you want to take a training, whatever the case may be, watch how fast it comes to you. Because this is what real, when they talk about timeline shifting looks like. This is real timeline shifting, quantum leaping into the life that you deserve. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.